Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. We have a great show today. Today we are going to start off with the internet search dies this summer. That's right, the internet search. If you guys remember, what is the first search engine you ever remember using? I remember when we first got internet in our high school. I must have been in, I don't know, it was either in I think either 10th or 11th. I know we didn't have internet in our school, at least not mainstream, in 9th grade. Maybe 10th or 11th grade we had some, and we go on, we're like Dogpile. Anybody on Dogpile? Raise your hand if you're on Dogpile. About Excite? Yeah, that was exciting. You can find all sorts of stuff. And then this weird search engine called Google comes up, and then it becomes so big that you completely forget about all of these other ones. Like I think the only one of the old school ones that have somehow managed to survive is Yahoo, but I think that's probably vampirically sucking on the data of everybody around. But Google became so big, in fact, it even became a verb in Journey to the Center of the Earth when he's like, what are you doing? I'm Googling at 20,000 feet, right? I think that might actually be one of the first instances of Google as a verb being used in mainstream media. I think that might have been it. I can't remember for sure. But that is certainly an interesting thing that so many people are using Google. Of course, now we have Google, we have Bing. Why would you put yourself through that? I know they give you free stuff, you know. It comes at a cost, though, I promise you. And then, of course, you still do have Yahoo floating around. Now, we do have some good ones, like Brave Search is its own independent thing. You have DuckDuckStop, that's DuckDuckGo, of course, which is basically based on Bing, but promises a little bit more privacy, and sometimes you can trust them, sometimes you can't. They're cramming so much AI, and their results are just as useless, so I don't even know. That's not good. StartPage is good. It uses a proxied Google, but, of course, curious to know what that's going to do after these changes come in. Then there's some other things, like you can host your own CREX system, and I actually did that for a while. I played around with it. I might go back and rebuild myself one of those because it was kind of fun and interesting. It'd be interesting to see what it can find these days. But the undisputed champion still is Google. And most people, even today, most internet searches are done through Google, if, of course, they're done on a search engine. I think for a while, YouTube surpassed Google searches. You know, people searching stuff up on YouTube for general questions instead of Google. Now it's possible it's losing ground to like ChatGPT and other AI LLMs, which is a frightening prospect itself. But still, Google maintains a huge market share in all internet searches. And the problem is, according to some psychopaths, is that Google gives you a list of results so that you can, I don't know, click through there, read through things, use maybe a little bit of cognitive ability, sharpen those reading skills, and come up with your own mind. Unfortunately, Eric Schmidt did decide on saying in a June interview in June of 2005, when you use Google, you get more than one answer. Of course you do. Well, that's a bug. We have more bugs per second in the world. We should be able to give you the right answer just once. Now, that is a very dystopian thing. That is him acting all Big Brother, because what is the right answer on political questions, for example? If I want to ask, contrast, the political parties, do I want my search engine to come down and say, well, you should just vote for this party because the other party is evil? And if they're giving you just the right answer, that's what they're going to do. But life has more nuance than a single, just a right answer. You know what I mean? And that really is a problem here that Eric Schmidt says this. And in fact, he has had a lot of terrifying things. In fact, someday soon, I am going to do a little mini review, maybe even just a live stream reading excerpts of his book on the New Digital Age. That was a fascinating book, because one of the coolest things in that book he mentions is we will come a time you won't even have to go to the doctor. You'll just use these services in a secure platform, and you'll send in pictures to your doctor, and he'll say, oh, this is exactly it. And isn't it funny that the first instance we have of that happening is a doctor saying to a parent, send a picture of that region of your child to me so I can diagnose it, and then Google calls the police on the guy. Okay. Eric Schmidt's there talking his book about how that's going to be awesome when that happens. And unfortunately, when it happens, bad things happen too. That guy, by the way, got completely locked out of his Google account and lost everything that was in there. So, we have some other great quotes in here. The quotable Eric Schmidt: technology will move faster than government, so don't legislate before you understand the consequences. Yeah, that's right. Just let them run roughshod. There's no sense in regulating this stuff. Let us extract our money from these poor people first. We're going to see some of that in the quick lines. Poor brown people. Microsoft has it in for you. Oh, yeah, it's going to be bad. If you have something you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Okay, that is a true statement. But the implication is, so go ahead and give all of that information over to us. I actually think most people don't want Google to answer their questions. They want Google to tell them what they should be doing next. Oh, yes, Master Google, tell me what to do next. All right. Ultimately, the internet openness has always won. I cannot imagine a current competitive environment would reverse that. Oh, well, the unimaginable has come true. All right. But why are we quoting 2005 articles from a former CEO of Google? And the reason is because this is coming true. It is going this summer. Google is turning on a feature which is not going to give you a list of search results. It's going to give you the answer. Ooh. Now, what was interesting is just about a year ago, BBC came out with actually a balanced article. This is a thing I noticed reading the news this week. There is no objectivity left in journalism anymore. It is a sad statement. Every single article I reads like a press release. There's no pushback. There's no issues. I'll point some of those out as I see them. This BBC article was the only article I read this week which actually gave me some pushback of what's going on. Maybe it's just because they're BBC and they're against all big web or something. But Google says a new AI tool on its search engine will rejuvenate the internet. Others predict an apocalypse for websites, but one thing is clear. The current chapter of online history is careering toward an end. Welcome to the machine web. Sounds like the introduction for a dystopian movie where the world blows up in the end, And so the challenge here is that what they're talking about here is a system that causes websites to see a massive amount of impressions, but not the click-through. And if you know anything about marketing, it's the click-through that causes your revenue, not the impressions. Now, there are some marketing strategies that focus on impressions. The impression means somebody sees it and becomes more familiar with your brand. But the actual click-through is what you want to do in many cases. Now, I'm actually one of the companies I work with right now, one of my clients, since the product they have is in Walmarts and a bunch of other stores, we're running ad campaigns based on impressions, not based on click-through, because really we don't have anywhere on our site to buy the product. We just want people aware that it's there and we can tell them where they can find it. And that really is your difference here. But that's not the way most companies work anymore. Most companies, digital companies particularly, focus on that click-through. If I want to sell a book, which you can find, let's see, where do I have this? Let's do tlm.li/code red, for example, is one of my books. I can have an AI summarize for you the stories and you'd get a gist of what I'm writing about, but not actually the experience of following the characters through their circumstances. The challenge is that it doesn't benefit me unless you click through it and purchase a book. Okay. So of course I'm a money hungry, psycho on the internet too, I guess, but hey, at least I'm writing my books, by the way, without AI. So, if you want some AI free writing there you go. You'll soon see a new AI tool on Google search. Remember, this article is last year, but if critics' prediction come true, it will also have seismic consequences for the internet. So Sundar Pichai, do I have that name right? I don't know, whatever, the CEO of Google right now. It's been a year since the launch of AI overviews, the AI-generated responses you probably see at the top of the Google search results. Now Pichai, I think it's Pichai, right? Pichai said Google is going further. For those who want an end-to-end is AI search experience, we are introducing an all-new AI mode. It's a total reimagining of search. When you start hearing the term reimagining, we might have a few problems. I'm going to reimagine myself right on into the coffin. That's right. So as you read this, AI mode is rolling out to users in the U.S., appearing as a button on the search engine and on the company's app. It's optional for now, says Liz Reed, the head of Google Search. She said it plainly when launching the tool. This is the future of Google Search. Dun, dun, dun. AI overviews already send much less traffic to the rest of the internet. Now, what happens here is this is Lily Ray, Vice President of Search Engine Optimization Strategy and Research Marketing, Emissive. She says it will severely cut into the main source of revenue for most publishers and will disincentivize content creators who rely on organic search traffic, which is millions of websites, maybe more. Google holds all the power. Google says these concerns are overblown. In fact, the company believes AI mode will make the web healthier and more useful because Google apparently is hanging out in the desert and smoking some peyote or something crazy like that. They're not thinking quite right. Their little Ford Escort has 3 cylinders blown. Google disagrees with this extension. In fact, let me read this. Barry Adams, founder of CEO firm Polemic Digital. I think extinction is too strong of a word that's going to happen to websites. It's decimation is the right word. So Google disagrees with that. They say AI overviews have been good for the web. AI mode will be no different. Google insists the feature send users to a greater diversity of websites. And the traffic is higher quality because people spend more time with the links they click. No. So experts say some version of AI mode will soon become the default, and that would supercharge the effects of AI on traffic because it completely does away with the traditional list of links. So remember, if AI is just feeding everything, you ask it a question and it gives you some answer, and then it wants you to keep on asking it questions, going back and forth. The idea is it may or may not give you a reference, like, the Reddit post that suggested to use glue to keep the cheese on your pizza, which is a true thing that Google's search has told us to do. And there are other things I'm not going to mention here. But what's going to happen is if companies can no longer make money by driving traffic to their site by appearing in Google search results, people will stop going to those pages, and it will completely disincentivize real content creators and basically mean the entirety of the internet will be turned over to AI bots, which is effectively the end point of dead internet theory. Now, according to analysis by the firm Bright Edge, AI overviews have caused impressions to rise 49%, but clicks have fallen 30% because people get their answers from AIs. That's what I was talking about earlier. Impressions means more people see your brand and are familiar with your brand. That's great if you don't have anything on their site to buy. If you just want them to be aware of it so they can spot it when they're perusing their local store, an increase in impressions is a good thing. But if, like most people on the internet, you want them to click through to your site, I want you to click through to tlm.li/code red, because it tells me, A, that's my own short link server, by the way. It tells me, A, how many people click that link, and B, do people actually buy the book Code Red? If you already have that one, you can go with tlm.li/s and pick up a copy of Synaptergy, family-friendly novel. Science fiction based, of course. And then we have a number of Christian books as well. But anyway, I would want you to go through ClickView. It's like it's useless for me to know that I exist. It's more useful for me to click through. And if impressions go up, you know that I exist. But if clicks go down, you have caused a severe detriment to my revenue. And that is the place where the internet becomes a bunch of inbred nonsense content spewed forth out of the end point of AI. And that is kind of what the problem happens to be. If AI becomes the audience, how do creators get paid? One possibility is a direct compensation. New York Times is licensing content to Amazon for its AI. Google pays Reddit $60 million to train AI on user data. Dozens of giant publishers and media conglomerates have reportedly signed similar deals with OpenAI, but little guys like me have no way of making some deal. So now the internet becomes only a product of big business with VC and other ways of basically funding itself, which means the entirety of the internet, like we saw, 50 different broadcast stations has now become a total of, I think, 3 or 4 now. Every news, every television station in America is run by only like 3 or 4 people now. The independent media is dead. And this will kill the internet. Independent people will be dead. In fact, there was even a fascinating video I watched the other day. It was either Infographic Show or Deep Humor. I forget which one of those. It was one of those two channels. I think it was Infographic Show. Talked about the trend right now where a lot of your big popular YouTube channels are being bought up by private equity, and then private equity feeds them what they want to do, and they basically become slaves to what the private equity does, so they can patch them all together, work massive amounts of affiliate deals and things like that. That's a problem. Now, here at Switch to Linux, we don't take sponsorships. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. Everything comes out of the brain of my head, which unfortunately is leaking, which is why, unfortunately, we're not on Rumble right now, because I forgot to update my stream keys. Oh, well. But the point being here, of course, is that if you're a big conglomerate, you can get in on this and maybe make some direct money by feeding the AI. And by the way, feeding the AI is what gets you shown up in the AI answers. Otherwise, you're invisible to them. So it's a double-edged sword. I don't want AI to be reading my website. That's fine. You just won't show up in our answers anymore. There are other search engines people can try instead, although they are too intriguing. Also integrating, AI into their search tools. Microsoft has been building AI into Bing. Google's smaller competitors have so little market share, it's difficult to see them making a dent in the economy, and many are adding their own AI tools. How wonderful. So internal documents released in a court case show Google chose to silently update its rules, so participating in Google search means websites automatically give their permission to use content for AI. Publishers can opt out, but only if they opt out of search results altogether. So you do not let us use your AI, we're not letting you show up in those list of links if people choose to use those either. Now, again, this article is last year, but from this week, Google search, as you know it, is over. Yes, this is the official full rollout, and apparently my links did not update, or my text did not update. There it is. Okay. The era of 10 blue links is officially over. It was over a while ago, but anyway. Google search will drop users into the AI-powered interactive experiences at times. Google is also introducing tools that can dispatch information agents to gather information on a user's behalf, along with the tools that let users build personalized mini apps tailored to their needs. It will have a new AI-powered query suggestion system that goes beyond autocomplete to help people craft more complex and nuanced queries, Google says. And this means people will spend even less time clicking traditional links that Google search used to return. People will focus more on acting on the information of those agents provide instead of manually clicking links. Do you see how this article here reads like a press release, not like a journalistic endeavor? There is no mention in this about the end of the internet or the challenge or the lack of clicking through links. There's nothing in this. This is like Google fed a press release, TechCrunch took it, they spun up a positive article about how we should all be excited about how Google is causing the end of the internet. Why? Why is this the end of the internet? Because if you cannot be found upon the sea of a billion websites, your website is effectively dead. That is it. If Google, and most people are still using Google or AI bots. If your search results are not in Google or in the AI bots trained off of it, your site won't be found at all. you will become invisible. And if your revenue is tied to this, guess what? That means that now you are going to be losing revenue, and it's no longer worth your time to have a website. So more humans abandon the internet, and AI slop takes complete control over everything. And then Google search results just give you the inbred results of AI. It's the equivalent of a six-fingered person, in the inbred communities. But Google says the new system was built for partnership with the Google DeepMind team and uses Gemini Flash 3.5. It will roll out to everyone who uses Google free of charge this summer. So no more internet searching. You just go over there to Google and you start communicating with the search, the search engine there. So there is how the internet will end this summer. They roll out this nonsense, and then that is going to be the case. So let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below.